There we go. All right, we're gonna skip over,
We have
all
non-public.
right, we'll do the non-public.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes of the 27th.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye. Although I wasn't here, but it's okay. So, I was brought up to speed by the town
All right.
manager.
Next thing on the agenda is the skateboard park decision. I think as everyone knows, the last two meetings, we've had public input on the skate park. A small representation, I would say, at the first one, and then a fairly large comprehensive one, crowd at the second one. Since that meeting, we have received numerous emails. I think we got 7 that I've been asked to read into the minutes. So we're gonna start off doing that. Then we're gonna have, the board is going to have their discussion on the skateboard park. The reason for the hearings, the reason for the reading the emails is, you know, we had presented this issue to the public to then listen to the responses, which we spent 2 full evenings listening. Now is our chance to talk about that, deliberate, and make a decision on it and decide what the future course is. So I'm gonna start off just reading some of these emails that we got and we'll take it from there. And if anyone else wants to read, there's a lot of stuff here. Some of these are fairly lengthy.
I can read anything you want me to read.
All right, I'm gonna let you read that one next.
Okay.
All right, the first one I'm reading is from Tracy Brumlick, who was here at the meeting. Please read this into the next Board of Selectmen's meeting to be made part of the public record. I'm writing this to express my frustrations over the intent and running of the public hearing for the skate park. I thought the intent of this public hearing was to gather the voting public's opinion regarding the pros and cons of this possible location of the skate park. Why have a public hearing if the matter was already decided? When the topic of the skate park was open for public comment, Tammy Jeanette was the first to speak. She was quickly shot down, and Jack Daly then spoke in high support of the park and all the reasons he has for this location. He's entitled to his opinion as a voting member of the public. However, I'm not sure why he spoke when at this time he was representing the Board of Selectmen. It was the voters' chance to speak, and the Board of Selectmen should be unbiased and willing to listen to the voters and then make their decisions. At one point in the meeting, Tara Tower said that normally she doesn't hold a public hearing on Recreation Department decisions, and they just ask the Board of Selectmen and move on. Why give us a sense that our opinions mattered when the petition and the public concerns about the park's location were not taken seriously or even considered? It was even argued that the area is not a residential area. The definition of a residential area is land used as a permanent residence or domicile, such as a house, apartment, nursing home, school, childcare facility, land zoned for such uses, or land where no zoning is in place. All of this fits into this area. I hope, at the very least, the concerns about the hours and fencing will be taken seriously, since our other concerns and opinions and ideas on the other places to put the skate park were not. I want to understand why, when the toxic nature of the river was known years ago, the public was not informed right away, and that the plan presented to the town at the town meeting would be scrapped and the skateboard park moved to a different area. It doesn't feel like decisions are being made transparently. What we did last night was a waste of 3 hours of our time for nothing. In the future, please only hold public hearings on matters where we can potentially affect the outcome and it's not a foregone conclusion. Sincerely, Tracy Brumlick. And I'll let you read the next one.
Wish we could comment on it, but this one is from Karen Gallagher. Addressed to the town manager, Board of Selectmen, and the Recreation Director. Please read this into the record. My husband Brian and I attended the final hearing for the public's comments regarding the new proposed location of the skateboard park. To say that we are disappointed and frustrated is an understatement. The public meeting was to gather the thoughts and concerns from the residents of Lincoln and Woodstock regarding the proposal for this new site on Pollard Road. We feel we were not heard. Within the first 15 minutes of the hearing, we could see that this was a done deal, and opening up to the public was basically perceived as a legal formality. Tammy Jeanette spoke first. She gave many valid reasons against this Pollard Road location. She asked a question about the possibility of locating it in another town-owned piece of land, and Selectman Jack Daly gave his answer to that. But when she then tried to continue, he cut her off and then went on to give his reasoning why this proposal is a good idea, citing the police and dispatchers in various towns he had contacted to verify his reasons. As one of the selectmen voting on this, he is to remain impartial and listen to the public who come to speak and not give his opinion in advance. So at this point into the meeting, it was evident to us where he stood, and he actually stated it by saying, "I will listen, but I think you know where I'm coming from." We immediately felt deflated and realized the rest of our concerns about the new location of this park would probably fall on deaf ears and be completely overlooked. The third person who spoke cited several skateboard parks in New Hampshire that have been closed due to the same concerns we all had: vandalism, littering, noise, and crime. This completely refuted what others said about these parks having none of these problems. Then another gentleman went up and passionately spoke about his concern as an abutter and shared how he and his wife spoke to many people who were afraid to openly express their disagreement for fear of retribution. They put a petition together, and along with several other concerned citizens, spent hours going door to door, getting it signed, accumulating over 80 signatures. Even though this was mentioned and the petitions handed to the selectmen, it appeared to be completely overlooked and of little importance. Just because people are afraid, and she underlined that, to be vocal and or are elderly and thus unable to come out to a meeting to voice their disapproval, does not mean they should not be heard and counted. Below are a few more important concerns that were never answered or even addressed at last night's meeting. As Paul Bowden suggested, why shouldn't this be properly brought to a vote at town meeting, just like the original proposal was? I'll answer that one. The original proposal wasn't, but that's okay. If too late this year, why not next year? So it's done right the first time. Number two, why haven't impact studies or visual plans been done on this new location, such as number of projected uses for the park versus the words, "We have strong support." Potential stormwater drainage issues on existing residential houses, quantitative monetary impacts on home real estate values in affected neighborhood, real data documenting traffic flow on Pollard Road. Chief Morris has now offered to do this, parentheses, potential drug and alcohol usage. This information should be shared with the public prior to a formal decision on relocation. 3, how long has it been since you were made aware of the higher cost of the soil cleanup? That was recent, very recent.
Yeah, January.
Yeah. Number 4, because the Tony Hawk grant for 80,000, which is not correct. Why not reapply? August seems to be an artificial deadline or excuse to cause this to happen without prior planning. Why not actively consider now other funding sources as outlined by a speaker for not only the skateboard park, but also the entire Riverfront Park area? It's a concern for the entire town, not just a select group who is seeking the closure now. Closing what? Not closing anything. We noticed a letter of concern was read last night from someone in North Woodstock. This made us wonder that this park next to the recreation center is going to be shared. A shared responsibility with Woodstock, as the Lincoln Woodstock Recreation Center is. It clearly appears that due diligence has not been completed. The best decision is for the select board to think this through for another year. Please understand, we support the town having a skate park, just not having it in this neighborhood or location. Respectfully, Karen Gallagher.
All right. The next one is from Joshua Omansky, Rebecca Spastek, and Elizabeth Ortiz. We have 2 homes located at 216 and 218 Pollard Road, Lincoln, New Hampshire. We have just recently been informed last week that the town of Lincoln plans on building a skate park directly on the side of our homes. We never received any written or verbal communication from the town that these plans are in the works. We had to find out by a local resident. We feel we should have had ample awareness of this matter. With that said, we have significant concerns regarding the building of the skate park directly near us. We feel this will impact our living conditions in a negative way. I live on the property full-time and enjoy my peaceful environment, hence the reason I moved to New Hampshire. I feel the skate park will bring an array of people, strangers, to this peaceful neighborhood, and with that, safety concerns. I have previously lived in California and around skate parks, and I know firsthand the level of noise, rowdiness, debris, and unsavory characters it can attract, and we do not want to be subjected to that type of living state. We do feel that the kids in this town can benefit from a fun activities, skate park, however, in a better, less residential community. We also have been informed that you all have not done an impact study, which we feel is crucial before moving forward with these plans, such as finding out how this may affect traffic, real estate, crime, drug use, flooding, etc. And with the impact study, we would ask to be part of it since it will directly affect us in many ways, including and not limited to financially. We ask that you reconsider the location, perhaps on Forest Ridge Drive, Pancamogus recreational area. Thank you for your time and consideration. We hope that you take into account the seriousness of our concerns and weigh all opinions and options before making a final decision, as it will affect many people.
I want to address two things on that. Never received any written verbal communication. 216 Pollard Road, it was sent to Ready Room Properties LLC in New Orleans, Louisiana. And for 18 was sent to Tailhook LLC in New Orleans, Louisiana. So they were sent to the address shown on the tax bill. So if she didn't receive them, she didn't change the address on her tax bills.
It was never sent.
They were sent to all the addresses abutting on the tax bill, including one that my son received because he's literally across the street from it. And both of these addresses are listed as Airbnb superhosts. So they are both business.
There are
Businesses.
businesses, I do live there full time as well.
Great,
So,
fantastic.
and I monitor who goes there, and prior to who goes there, we know who's coming there. It's not.
Do we have
like
more
they're-
to read?
Yep.
Great.
You want to read it?
No,
Okay.
what you read, you do it.
You can go.
Yep.
Good morning. After attending Monday night's town meeting, Phil and I have come away with different perspective on the skate park being located at 194 Pollard Road. As we mentioned at the first meeting, we were never opposed to the skate park. Rather, we just questioned the location and the sense of urgency behind the new location. Throughout the meeting, we were moved by all the parents in favor of the skate park location at the community center and the excitement that the town's children have for this venture. Additionally, we acknowledge the skateboard park committee has worked extremely hard to fundraise to see this goal accomplished, and as such, they deserve a skate park where the children can gather and enjoy the sport. These points were never doubted, but what changed our perspective was the additional information that was presented by Tara Tower, we believe. This being the schematic of the location of the park, the actual size of the park in relation to the availability, and critically, the focus of this park being for beginners and intermediate skaters. As such, it would appear that it will be the intrusion originally, it appeared that it will be the intrusion originally envisioned for the most likely attended by younger children. I have to add that had this information been appropriately shared at the first meeting, then there would have been every chance this could have sailed through without opposition. As a side note, our children are 26 and 22, one a roller skater, the other skateboarder. So I understand we are not even opposed to skating in general. We therefore wish to formally retract our opposition to the skate park and do back the selection of this location. This all said, since our home will be directly looking onto the skate park, is it possible to see an actual plan or layout of what is envisioned on the property? May we discuss the area having a real park-like feel with benches, possibly small bushes? We believe working together so all residents can feel comfortable within the community is the best option moving forward. Please share our email. Thank you, Amy and Phil, 211 Pollard Road.
All right, and this one's from Mary Lynn and Wayne Colby of 152 Pollard Road. We live on Pollard Road full-time and we totally support the skate park.
Love it.
Quick and to the point. And this, I think, is the final one, is from Donna Tombarelli and Amy Swift from 24 Rue de Janeiro. We attended the meeting last night via Zoom with particular regard for the proposed site of the skate park on Pollard Road. Although we support the building of a skate park in town and always have, we both had signed a petition out of support for friends and neighbors who live close to the proposed site and who had concerns. We had not been in attendance of the earlier meeting. Given what we heard last night, we believe those questions and concerns were addressed favorably. We now support putting the skate park at the proposed site on Pollard Road. Thank you for giving the opportunity for folks to ask questions and express their opinions and concerns. We know this has been a long time in the making and appreciate all the time and effort in making this happen. A skate park will be a great addition for the kids in our community.
There's another one.
That's the one I read first.
Oh, sorry, you're right. It was the last in my file.
Okay. All right. So there was the comments following our hearing. Just a couple of things that were said there that I'm not sure were accurate. You know, there's a huge difference between listening and agreeing.
Mhm.
The only reason this came to a point of bringing it to a public hearing was because the selectmen supported the idea. We're not gonna come up with some crummy idea that we all hate, bring it up to here. Who else hates it? I mean,
Right.
that's not the point. This is something that we supported, we looked into. There is a long history of this, I mean, and I think Vicky brought this up, better than I will summarize it, but basically, when her mother was on the Board of Selectmen in the late '90s, there was talk of a skateboard park, and it's been talked about now for 25 years. So this isn't anything new.
We have that
The-
sketch from Adams. When
Tom
Tom
Adams.
Adams
Exactly.
in 1984, a
And
sketch with a skateboard park in it. Yeah.
you know, the original location. We wanted to develop that into a riverfront park. For the locals, for the tourists, multi-use. And I guess our thought of moving that project along was to take advantage of two offers that we got. One was from the Northern Borders Grant, where we got a matching grant to develop the parking lot, some of the play areas and the kayak launch. And an offer from the,
That was LWCF. Yeah, sorry,
oh,
just to clarify.
Thank you.
Waters is the water tank.
Yeah, there's a bunch
You were so close.
so.
Either way, it was a matching grant, that would help us move that along. And then the skateboard park was willing to just build on that land at their cost, a skateboard facility. And we saw that as a good way to jumpstart what would be a real nice addition to the town of Lincoln. It was really in January. First of all, we did apply, receive, and use a brownfields grant to do the environmental analysis, the final
Back up.
environmental analysis.
Back up though, when we decided that this would be a great place for the park, we had
True.
a company come in and test the soils and said there's minor contamination, but it'll be easily mitigated. That's where the decision came from to go there because we were told that. And then years later, after DES did their due diligence, we were told, not so much.
It was still minor
Right,
in quantity. Okay, and in locations. What
Right.
was not minor was the cost to dig down as deep as
Right.
the contamination is and remove it and mitigate it.
right.
So I guess, you know, the word minor is
Used
different and, you're right, there wasn't a lot, there was not a whole bunch. But what was there is difficult, expensive, deep, to remove and mitigate. So anyway, that went through further study, further analysis. I mean, this was a continual process of, oh, good, things look good, we'll be ready to build. Oh, wait, we gotta do another study. Oh, we gotta wait for them to finish the analysis. We finally got back in January. It was right after Christmas, but we learned what the steps were, and the estimated cost of removing it was about $800,000, but could get up to $1 million depending on,
Or more.
or more. I mean,
I think it said 1.3.
was the
Was the
high
high
end?
end.
Okay, I was looking mostly at the 800,000. I was a
Rose colored.
Yeah, anyway, it was gonna cost a minimum of $800,000 to fix it up, which we're not gonna do, okay?
Well,
I
no,
should say, we're not gonna do right away.
We're gonna try to
There
apply for
are-
grants to pay for that.
With,
Right.
Brownsfield grants out there to help with this. The project down there qualified, met the brownfields, qualifications, requirements, whatever, to get the, analysis grant. It's unlikely that we're gonna go back and they're gonna say, well, you don't qualify to clean it up. I mean, if we qualify to have the study done, they have recognized that it is a contaminated site. It is near a river and it does need to be cleaned up. We anticipate that we will get a Brownsfield grant. No guarantees, but we anticipate that. However, there's a time factor with that, that we're at their mercy. I mean, it could happen this summer. It could happen in
No, I
2030.
can't.
It can't have, so.
We can't even apply for that grant till the fall.
Till the
Till
fall.
November.
Right,
So,
that's true,
and
sorry.
they're not awarded till the following spring, so yeah, no,
We could get awarded the grant in this year. But it's,
next year.
but it's not likely that this will be.
They don't award
a-
them till next spring, so
Okay.
next year,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Either way.
Could
it could
never
be
happen this year.
Years before this gets cleaned up. Because even if we do get a grant, it might be,
They set the
behind
schedule.
other people, so what the board has voted to do is we've hired the environmental analysis company, and we've contracted with our engineer to put together the final documents, reports, stuff that will lead to this grant application. Okay, so we've taken that step. We're not sitting idly by watching that contaminated field just sit there. We're taking the next steps to get it cleaned up. In the meantime, knowing that this could be years down the road, we looked at other locations, and obviously chose the community center. And I don't want to speak for the others, but my personal feeling was that this was not a second choice location, that this was actually a better location. I mean, this is, hold on, we're gonna finish talking and then we can, that this was actually a better location due to it being a really a neighborhood park feature that's geared towards younger kids, beginners, maybe intermediates. This isn't gonna be huge half pipes and ramps and skyrocket off of things type thing. It's gonna be the neighborhood kids going there. I don't see this drawing, kids from out of town or out of state to drive up to Lincoln to use the big ramp. This is gonna be the local kids. So when we're talking about crime and drugs and all, it's gonna be the same kids that are at the Kangaroo Rec area and the same kids that are out of school that are gonna be over at this park. And I guess I see that as an enhancement to our community. I think that site is more visible, it's more accessible to the local kids. I also see that the mixing of age groups is not a negative thing, as it was brought out at that last hearing, that this town has one school. It's K through 12. They all coexist together. They eat in the same cafeteria. They do stuff together. They ride the bus together. This town it's a small town. And over at the facility there right now, currently, we have preschool kids in the daycare. We have adults, seniors in the big center. We have school age kids every day after school during the school year.
We have middle schoolers all summer, for
Miss-
adventure camp.
At the adventure camp is there.
Is it gonna be only open to the kids to this town, or is it gonna, because this is a vacation town and it attracts a lot of.
We understand that. We're talking about this now, so no, we're not taking comment, okay? We'll take comment at the end. We had 2 hearings for this, and maybe you weren't able to go or didn't know about it.
But I
We'll
live
li-
literally next door.
I
This is where you
understand.
propose the park,
I
and my
understand.
house is right here.
I understand.
You have the petition.
And it's encroaching on our property.
I don't think I do, but I
Yeah,
don't,
right there in front of you.
there it is. So I see the mixing of the age groups as a positive thing. I mean, if it has worked out as a positive thing in many other areas of this town. I see older kids working with younger kids. I see, moms and dads working with their kids and the other neighborhood kids. I see park benches there and people from Lincoln Green will walk over and sit and be entertained for free as kids are learning and jumping and
Absolutely.
all of that. I think we're looking at what is currently a mixed use neighborhood. We couldn't call it
No
residential,
question.
it's zoned residential. But there
There
are
are more businesses than residents there.
it is the surrounding direct neighbors are not, the year-round residents are in the minority. All right,
Absolutely.
not that we disregard them, but they're in the minority. The other thing I heard at the hearings was that there are things that we need to do to help make this a better part of the neighborhood. And I'm thinking a fence, signage, reasonable hours, and I'm gonna call it casual oversight. Whether that's
Doesn't have
the people,
24 hours.
I'm not, you're done, all right? If you want to speak when, at the end, when we recognize you, I will do that. If you speak again, we're not recognizing you at all.
Okay.
Thank you. I see the police as being a casual observer, the people in the rec center, the food pantry. If there's a commotion, if there's a problem, if they smell something, they'll take appropriate steps. It's just like the Kank Rec area. I mean, at any point, we have a couple of employees there, but we also have parents and older kids and people watch out for each other. It's how the town works, and I see this as fitting in at that location. I'm far more excited about it than down there. Of course, I'd like to get the Riverfront Park done, but I see this as being more neighborly than a location down here. With that said.
Yeah, I'll speak because I was mentioned in a couple of these emails. First of all, I did listen. I did express that I was in favor of it, but I listened to the residents. When I saw the petition here, I would have signed it too. When people said there's gonna be drugs, there's gonna be garbage, there's gonna be graffiti. Nobody wants that in the neighborhood. We're not gonna let it. We're town officials. We're not gonna let that happen. I mean, that's, I'd sign it too. I'm surprised they didn't put in there, there's gonna be guns and gangs in there too. We heard from one gentleman who said, well, they closed it in Manchester, they closed it in Hudson and some. We're not in Manchester, we're not in Hudson. We're a local community that cares for its kids and we care for our citizens. There's going to be, and again, I speak to everybody, hopefully, we've got a warrant on the town article that's gonna put a $6 million police station literally a quarter of a mile down the road. So the police will be down there. They will control some of these things that were mentioned, if the parents don't control it, or the teenage. We also got a lot of support from the Rotary Club down there, the Interact kids. I've worked with the Interact kids. They do an amazing job.
Great kids.
I gotta be very honest with you, I was disappointed when somebody said this statement here, and I'll tell you why I was really disappointed. Tammy Jeanette was the first to speak, she was quickly shot down. I was reading this out loud to my wife, who was sitting behind me. My grandson happened to be on his iPad. And he came over and he said, Papa, what happened? He's 9 years old, lives in the city of Boston, goes to school in Boston. What happened? Did somebody get shot? You carry a gun there? I said, pray to God, I don't. But, the language like that is incendiary, in my opinion. And I'm entitled to my opinion as a taxpayer and a parent and a grandparent. All concerns were taken seriously. There's word in there that they weren't taken seriously. Of course, we listened to that. None of us up here collectively or individually knows everything. You learn every day in life, and you learn from taxpayers, people that have been like Roger here from day one. I learned every single day. I learned a lot about the skateboard parks. I did some of my own research. When the gentleman that spoke about the gangs and things like that, I call the two communities that are closest to us that have skateboard parks. I talked with the chief of police in Plymouth, and I talked with the Sergeant Doobie up in Bethlehem, and I talked with the dispatcher that handles all the calls from Bethlehem. All three of them said they haven't had a call of crime to any of those skateboard facilities. So that's what we're getting into, something that's a positive impact for the children of our time. As far as notices going, I mean, we started this process back on January 24th with a public posted notice that we were going to have a meeting down at the potential skateboard park on Pollard Road. You know, there were some people there. I think maybe there were what, 7 or 8 of us, 10, 9 of us, I don't know, something like that. And, you know, people had an opportunity at that point. Then we had 2 meetings after that. So this is the 4th meeting that has dealt with this issue. So nobody is sweeping things under the rug. The other thing that irritates me is the other letter, and again, I was mentioned in this, people were afraid to openly express their disagreement for fear of retribution. Boy, I'd love to find out who we feared so much by, you know, having a meeting and talking about things like that. We don't live in a police state here. The police do a great job. But again, you know, it irritates me when people want to start fighting or start people to get up in arms over something that isn't true. You know, the other thing that I'm really happy to see that there was input. I received 7 or 8 calls at my home and a couple of emails, which gladly, people call me. People saw me on the street, talk to me about it. You know, I love to hear from our citizens. That's whom I represent. I was elected by the citizenry here to listen to them. I have my own opinion, but if somebody swayed me, I vote for what they feel is the right. In this case, I feel that the Pollard Road was the right site to have this done. But you know, it's a community project, and like OJ has said and Tammy has said, we'd love to clean up that site down at the Riverfront Park and make it a showpiece. But again, that's not going to happen within a time frame. We keep pushing this back and back. And by the way, it started long before. I've been living here. Well, full-time 20-something years, been in town 29 years, I believe it was. But, you know, it's something that's been ongoing. Let's bring it to a head. We've done due diligence. Could we do more? You can always do more because you never know what's around the next corner. But God forbid that something, you know, should go awry. I pray it doesn't. The other thing too, from what I was told by the town clerk, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chairman, that the petition was signed by approximately 80 people. And I believe only 42 of them were registered voters. The other 36 were maybe Airbnbs or whatever, things like that, that, you know, am I correct with that?
I believe that's correct.
Okay,
The town
I'm not sure
clerk
the
checked it
exact
against the
numbers.
the
checklist.
town clerk checked it
Right,
against.
but just to qualify that, this type of opinion.
Oh, yeah, you don't need to
but
be you don't be a
need to be
registered voter. I understand that. I mean, I could go to,
Opinion of people. who
I
are-
could go to one of the skateboard parks and take it and I'd get 100 signatures that say they're for it, but you know, we did listen, by the way, because one of the things that we initially talked about was a dawn to dusk. And now we've all, I think, in agreement and said that, you know, it should be like an 8 p.m. curfew so that we're not in the dark at nighttime. Again, hasn't been set in stone. The other thing is the fence. Again, a fence is done tastefully. I think that'll be an asset to the neighborhood. We've talked about benches of plantings to make it something that senior citizens, because one of our residents down there, Miss Jeanette, was concerned about senior citizens being able to walk down the road and you know, not have a place to kind of rest or take it easy. So, you know, I mean, I think everybody that spoke had valid opinions. And, you know, I think that in my opinion, and I said it before, you can sway me, you could have swayed me, but I don't think that there were any arguments made that was going to make me change my mind where I came from. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks.
Couple of things. Dawn to dusk, I think we need to rethink dawn too, because on 4th of July, 2023, dawn is 4:33 a.m. So, yeah, exactly. So we got to rethink that one as well, but I get what you're saying. And I'm going to reiterate what you said. Of course, we came here in favor of the project. We're not going to bring a project that none of us want to happen. That's not what we do. If they were going to build a junkyard there, we wouldn't even bring it to you. We just say no, period. It's, of course, we bring it to the public and it's something that we are supporting. And as far as it being a residential neighborhood, I think Jay Duguay said it best, that There's an auto repair shop. Many short-term rentals. A hostel, a bed and breakfast, a childcare center. Those are all businesses that literally surround or are on this property. So even though it's zoned residential, that's not a residential neighborhood. It hasn't been for, can't even remember when well, 1976, when Joe started his bus company there. It hasn't been residential since then. And all direct abutters were notified by mail, myself included. Who is the most visually impacted by this? My son's house is directly across the street. You can't get any more across the street than my son's house. And he's all for it. He thinks it's a great idea. We had a lot of people that wrote letters and came in and said, no, we don't want it here. It's not the right place. It's not the right place. However, the locals at the meeting last week, our local residents, our long-term local residents that have grown up here, that are raising their children here, that have been here for a long time, are all for it. I think there's I heard one local resident that's lived here forever, went to school here, raised their children here, that was against it. Our locals want this. We need to support our locals. Not exclusively, however, when we're talking about the kids and the children in our community, we need to support the kids that live here and are growing up here. And this supports that. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, this has been as about as open a process as we could possibly get. I mean, we actually had, and again, this was never voted on at town meeting, okay? I'm sure you remember the original discussion was over at the community center. And it was Jane,
You and Patricia.
and Patricia.
Yeah.
Were the three selectmen at the time. And it was a hearing just like we had, well, I should say, it was the type of
public
hearing we
meeting.
had last night. There was a fair number of people there, as I remember.
And so we had it there, because we knew it wouldn't fit here.
And yeah, right.
Mhm.
And you know, there were all kinds of comments made, and we voted to move forward with the skateboard park. And of course, at that time, we were hopeful on the
Yeah.
Riverfront Park. But it was, I mean,
However, that location was discussed at that meeting.
it was.
It was.
It was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was almost an argument between the two places.
And
Not quite.
for me, the factor that I chose Riverfront Park is it would match with the grant.
Catalyst, yeah.
These two things, the grant and the skateboard park. Would move that process forward. Right, and we thought it'd be a win-win-win situation. And the stop came to that. And as soon as that we learned of the problem. Of the $800,000 price tag, number one, we that next meeting, I think we got prices
Yeah.
we asked for prices on
Right,
what to do
estimates.
next, so we got estimates. To move forward, and then we looked at alternative sites.
Right.
So there was no hiding, there was no delay, there was no, why weren't we open to the public? I mean,
We're all publicly posted
Right.
on YouTube, open discussion meetings, every one of them. Except for the site visit, that wasn't recorded, obviously, it was on YouTube, but it was discussed publicly at the very next meeting.
And it was noticed.
Which was
Oh,
done,
it was
exactly, yes.
so anyway,
One point that I think that I just would like to bring up again, because I think it was kind of glazed over at the last meeting, is that we have reached out to our insurance carrier, Primex, who's our property and liability insurance carrier. And this is gonna cost the town no additional dollars on our premium, on our annual premium each year. I think that says something strong about this project and how our insurance provider projects the activities that are
Zero
that are
concern.
gonna go on down there. It's not gonna add any money to our current premium. And they didn't have any immediate concerns of crime or graffiti or
Right.
drugs. Their major concern was just making sure that we potentially had a fence or some signage
Yeah.
or stuff that we do at any of our other recreation locations. And I think that's, like I said, I think it was glazed over at the last meeting.
Right.
And I just wanted to bring it up again this evening.
thank you. All right, anything else from the board?
Okay.
Are we ready to make a decision?
What do you want to hear from- what's her
We
name?
had the two public meetings, so.
Yeah,
She was not able to be there. I wouldn't mind taking comment. Do you want to speak to the board?
I feel like no matter what I say, it's not gonna change anything, but would any one of the three of you want a skate park directly on the side of you?
Directly across from it, actually. But yeah,
No, well, that's your son's house and I bet he's a skateboarder.
no, actually, he's not.
Does he have kids?
Nope.
I honestly,
It just
I would
sounds a
be
little
fine with it.
biased.
I live next to
Would
something
you
that's,
want, would you want directly, and be truthful, would you want directly on the side of you, skateboard?
it would be quieter than what's next to me now. Just to be honest,
I would have. no
What's
problem
next
with
to you now?
it. Wellsdale.
two jet engines running a surf machine between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Yeah, all summer
Were
long.
they
Also
there
long.
when you moved there?
Nope.
Nope,
Oh,
but I get it.
I mean.
I
just
understand
worry about-
noise. I understand noise.
I'm here most of the time alone. I worry about walking outside my house and seeing strangers that I don't know, and then that affects my safety. That's truly my main concern. Because I do live there full time.
Okay.
Look behind you, ma'am. Look behind you, please. Just turn around. Okay, I mean, anytime you feel threatened or scared, call these gentlemen. They're 24/7.
I've lived there for 8 years. I've been peaceful, I've been happy, and now that I know that a skate park is gonna be directly on the side of me, I'm like, I feel afraid, I wanna move. Like, I don't wanna live in Lincoln anymore, because it's like, granted, I want kids to have fun and enjoy themselves, and they deserve that, because this is such a small town, there's not a lot to do. But I think it should be in a different place. I don't feel like that's the proper spot for that. That's just truly what's in my heart, but like, you guys have made your decision, I can see that, you all are in agreement with each other, and I have. I guess there's
Well,
nothing else
I
to
hope,
say.
I hope that you come back and tell us how nice the kids are next.
I hope,
When,
I pray to God.
when you
that-
see who
that's
they
my
are.
wish.
Have you ever been to the Kent Rec area?
I drove.
Are you
over there.
afraid up there?
Was that?
Are you afraid up at the
No,
Kent?
I thought.
Same kids,
The same kids.
same kids.
But
It's the same kids. So if you're
you
afraid,
have to have
okay,
this.
if you're afraid of the kids, you shouldn't go up there because they're gonna be the same kids.
Same kids.
I'm afraid of, if it's open to the public, there's a lot of renters and there's a lot of, this is a town of vacationers. It's not just a town.
The
of-
tank is also open to vacationers and renters and the public.
Yeah,
Right, but I don't live right beside there. so I don't know those
okay.
lines.
It's the NIMBY, the NIMBY, not in my backyard. Every single
All
person
right,
that's been
thank
against
you,
it has
thank
been
you
an
for your
NIMBY.
comments. Obviously, we heard a lot of pros and cons comments and, again, I didn't hear anything that I'm gonna change my mind. It's a great location. It's a great location.
I will make a motion that we approve the new skate park location at the community center on Paul Road.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's where we go. We have 3 people with their hands up. I know Jim and Roger and Paul. If we can take public comment and go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, basically, I don't know, if it's public comment. It was brought up, safety of probably kids on the sidewalk with skateboards. Could there be some signs put up that it's against the law and have that enforced? That skateboard will be taken away from that kid? Or some penalty.
Well, I don't think
The kid
it's,
is using the sidewalk,
I don't think they take the skateboard away from the child.
but
I do
there
think
should be
there are
something you can do with that
consequences.
kid. Like, put some signs up there.
Go ahead.
Read them anyhow.
If I may, I don't want to cut you off or anything, or
No,
use the term they shoot it down. Okay, Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. But I think, when I talked with the chief of police in Plymouth, he indicated that they have that ordinance, that, there's no skateboarding on the park, because And that's one of the reasons they built the skateboard park, to get particularly the college kids, not so much the locals, off the downtown area that was skateboarding through. So I'm sure that the town could put something in place where, please don't, and if we found violation, go to the parents. That's what's gonna control this truly.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Interact kids from the Rotary, they're high school age, seniors, juniors, they can be involved in mentoring those kids.
Yeah, that was one concern from more than one person.
Yep.
The safety of people walking up on the sidewalk.
And I forget who brought it up too, something that I want to look into a little more is the removable speed bumps in that area. Just summer months, obviously not in the winter. Well, they would, skate park won't be open during snow time anyway, but I think that'd be a fantastic idea in that
Right.
spot.
When I plowed Deer Park, they had those down
Those
there.
humps, yeah,
You have to put them fairly close.
yeah,
'Cause like down in Deer Park, they probably had them. Oh, I don't know, I'm gonna say from here to the fire station, the park,
gotcha,
and by the time they got to the second one, they were back up to 50
right,
miles
right,
an hour.
right,
So to have it so that it's really gonna work, it would have to be. Not real close, but relatively close. Or people are gonna be back up to that speed before they get to the next.
makes sense.
Okay, Roger and then Paul.
Roger, excuse me, before you speak, just for the police, you're not fear any retribution here, are you, before you speak? Before your policemen come in, you have one of the letters said that that people are afraid to speak because of fear of retribution, so
That's so ridiculous.
no retribution, Roger.
Skateboarders years ago, 28 years ago, down the mill, had signs all over, with no skateboard on the sidewalk. And I had to fight those kids all the way. These kids now, they're two of my high school teachers over here. and they- Yeah, well, no, they're loosening all the bolts on my tires in my car. Me and my wife would go down the interstate. Here goes the tire. Then the car started shaking. Well, I got the tire back on and went up. And nothing was ever done about it. 28 years ago, who the cops were then. Fellow did. And the kids were skateboarders. Nothing was ever done, so. After that, I never cared for skateboard. And my kids never had a skateboard. I don't know.
Really? I
After
love
that,
skateboarding. I mean, kind of old for it now, but
well, they weren't all for it then. But now, what is the, are they gonna have a bowl up there? What are they gonna have in that area for these skateboards?
I think it's headed to final design, and once it goes out to we have the final design, it'll be posted. We'll definitely share
There
that.
will be no bowl.
There will be no
There will be
bowl.
absolutely no bowl.
No bowl.
No bowl. It will
Oh,
be,
man, no, just kidding.
Yesterday, what are you gonna have?
Last design kind of better rolling.
yeah, I mean, we are working through the final design. Obviously, we've been working on this for a very long time and prices have changed and design elements have changed, but it is a beginner and intermediate part. When you think about a bowl, that is designed for expert of
Right.
expert. Like if you go down to Plymouth, the reason they have a fence around that is because they have a bowl. If someone that fell into that, that would be
Right.
not great.
Mhm.
So this will be mostly flat with some ramps at the ends. And a couple rail features, ledge features in the middle, but. For the most part, it's gonna, a big rectangle. And that's what the current design is. Again, we're working towards the final elements, but there is. You said before, it's not for experts, it's for beginners. We are, the members of our committee are 3 dads, all with young kids, and our goal has been the beginner part since the very beginning.
It's something they do in the winter, they keep it cleaned off in the winter. do they?
No,
We don't use it in the winter.
And I think-
We're a skater.
It's good to remember too, that it's only 100 by 60. You know, I think when people envision the skateboard park, they're envisioning this
not much bigger than
large,
this room.
multi-acre type concrete.
Roughly 5,000 square.
Right,
So it's not
which
this.
is not a whole lot bigger than where the room we're in. I mean, it is a little bigger, but not a whole lot, though. We go back towards John's office maybe, but no.
All right, thanks, Roger and Kevin. Paul, you had your hand up?
Yes, I did. I have one comment and one question to do here. Are you gonna have, I want to know if there's gonna be a candy window there so that they can skateboard up and get candy at the window like they do at the Kank.
Yeah.
Great idea. I'll work on that.
All right, that was funny.
That was-
Come on now, come on, it wasn't bad, was it?
No, that was good.
That was good.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, a little lighthearted humor. The only other thing I have to offer is that not everybody agrees and disagrees with each other. We all know that. You guys know that about me. But at the end of the day, one of the things we have in the society we live in today is a vote. And if the abutters and the people who don't like the decision of the board, one of the things they have to do is they can vote. So they could vote any of you three selectmen out and say, you made the wrong decision. So at the end of the day, you know, and like I said, there's all manner of facts we can dispute. But at the end of the day, what everybody has is a vote. And I would encourage the people who want to have the skateboard park to vote for the three of you that are there. And I would also encourage the people who don't want it to find representation that they think will suit their needs. And, you know, I mean, Lincoln's changing. We're getting more diverse by the day, from short-term rentals people to people who have moved here to have a quiet lifestyle and say, this is what I want. And all of a sudden it's not in my backyard, as Tammy said. You know, and then you have the very minority of people, which is the long-term residents that live here. The only thing that I would like to comment on, OJ, is that I feel that the board has put less importance on what abutters say than I think you should be doing. After having sat on zoning boards, planning boards, when we make those decisions, the abutters who are directly affected really weigh heavily on a decision. And I know you've made your decision and you've taken your vote and it's all done. But I just feel like, you know, watching this process, I'm not sure that the direct abutters their considerations were weighted properly. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. All right. We're gonna move off that subject. Before you go into non-public, I guess, is there anything else that needs to be discussed?
Yes.
Okay, because I have a couple things too. I
Yes.
told you it's gonna be a short meeting.
Like,
Not
you
that
like,
short.
you like. I want to.
Yeah, we're done with the skate park.
We're done with you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you
Kara.
for coming.
Yeah. The town meeting is a week from tomorrow. March 14th.
Yes,
Until-
Tuesday, March 14th.
Yes. Give it a minute. And Delia Sullivan has put her name.
Yeah, that's an elected position. And I know that things on,
Council was, or council, I should say.
Secretary of State, wait in.
Oh.
Thank you, wait a minute.
that's fine, as long as it's a legal opinion, I'm
Yes,
good.
legal opinion, Secretary of State,
Okay,
sorry,
sorry.
yeah, town council.
It was their,
Their suggestion
Yeah,
was to mention it at a public meeting,
okay,
but we didn't do anything at
Town
the
meeting.
election,
okay.
one way or the other.
Right.
So what is the public meeting
Um,
announcement?
That Delia Sullivan, for personal reasons, wants to remove her name as a candidate for town clerk in the Lincoln election on March 14th, 2023, excuse me. She wanted her name removed from the ballot if possible. It is not possible.
Correct.
So she just wants, so she will be at town meeting. If there's something that she could do, whatever, just wants it out there that she, for personal reasons, she cannot accept the position. And because of time constraints, cannot take her name off of the ballot. So we put it out there in a public meeting. And just as a side note, the following Tuesday, the 21st, is the annual school district meeting as well. And I want to shout out to our public works department, who in the last 2 weeks have got all of the snow for the winter. And are shorthanded by 2 and are getting it done. And the roads look great, sidewalks are great, and they've had some criticism on Facebook lately that was unwarranted. I think they do a great job on little sleep without seeing their families for days on end when it didn't stop snowing. So thank you to the Public Works Department. That's it. That's all I have.
OJ,
Yeah,
are town reports available?
Yes.
yes,
Okay, I just wanted to ask. I haven't seen anything on the website. I've been too busy plowing myself, and I agree with Tammy that, from someone who plows all the time, the town's done a great job.
thank you.
Paul. Hey, it is available on the website. You can click right on the town website to look at the town report also. If
All right.
before you choose to come
Are they
in.
available? Are they available at town hall?
Yes, town
Okay.
hall, library. And I think they were delivered to like Lincoln Green, but that was.
All right, thank you very much. I just thought, maybe other people might want to know as well, so.
Yes,
Thank
no,
you.
thanks for asking. Just
I was gonna
so
bring
people
that
know.
up, Paul. You
Yep.
stole my thunder. Thank you.
Jack, I never steal your thunder.
All right, Jack, do you have anything?
No, sir.
You want to repeat what Paul said?
No.
We also should mention too, because it's about the rabies clinic. There's gonna be here on the Saturday, the 25th. It's a $10 cash rabies clinic, cats and dogs. All proceeds are going to the Granite State Dog Recovery. I think it's sponsored by the police station, is that correct? Did you guys look it up? Never mind,
It's the
sorry.
PD and they.
Yes,
So that's.
the local,
somewhere.
yes,
Yeah.
and the local veterinarian kind of
Okay.
arranged this.
See you later.
Thanks, Wayne.
I just want to say, I think as a board, you've done an excellent job of letting the community vet on this subject. We had a room full of people here a week ago, and you allowed everyone to talk as long as they need to talk. I don't think you could have done better than that as far as communicating. My personal-
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah. I do have one brief thing.
Okay,
I don't know if you were going into non-public, but the joint BOS meeting with
Yeah.
Woodstock is scheduled for the March 27th meeting.
Oh, fantastic.
I,
Is that gonna be here? Yeah,
It is going to be here, yes.
thank you.
I had two things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, the proclamation that we talked about for Marshall Young,
Mhm.
I gave that to his, I drafted something, I gave it to his sister.
Oh, wonderful.
And she's gonna share it with the other sister, like just
Make sure
add
dates and-
anything, yeah, verify, which she already did, but, anyway, they're looking at it. I don't wanna
Fantastic.
hear afterwards that I screwed something up. so-
Yeah.
So they're looking at it. And then the second thing is, I got the PowerPoint.
Good. Okay.
I've filled it, added to it with pictures,
Excellent.
funding, comparisons, and I want to get other input from that. And I don't want to sit here and go through each slide tonight and do it,
Yeah.
but if can you all look at PowerPoint if I email it?
Yes, we
Okay.
can on the surface.
Okay, I will
Just
email
Send it
it
out, we'll reply to Karina. with any-
everyone, and if you have, and,
If not, we can always just
I
save it
wouldn't-
as a PDF so you can see all the pages.
I wouldn't, true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind sitting down and just, I want to talk about the
Presentation.
the presentation. Sure. And is Scott gonna be at the town meeting?
I believe, yes, I believe they're both.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and will they be, what's gonna happen during the day when people are coming and voting? Will we have things standing up with design pictures?
Absolutely. I mean, so I think one of the suggestions was like to blow it up in like a large format, like a 3x5,
Yeah.
or 2x4, right,
Easel,
something
yeah.
like that, a bulletin
Yeah.
board size essentially. With pamphlets or whatever people wanted to, if it's the presentation, whatever we decide we want to do. But yes, I think we should get that essentially nailed down so we could go to the printers and make sure that we have that ready to go.
All right, do you want to meet?
Sure, yeah.
Do you want Chad or Scott? and
Well,
both?
Chad's not here.
wait, he's out in
Yeah, he's out in California, but I'm
Scott?
sure I can get Scott on board, yeah,
All right,
whenever.
let's pick, is tomorrow good?
Tomorrow, no, payroll's done, tomorrow's great.
I'm only available tomorrow till 1. I'm leaving town.
That's fine. I'll be here all morning, so.
What about Scott? You know, just.
I don't, do you guys know?
It'll be tomorrow morning.
They'll be in tomorrow morning? Yeah, let's do it tomorrow morning.
All right,
I have a meeting with MRI at 11, so if we could do it before then. that would
let's
be
meet at
9.
9. Sure. What time does Scott come in tomorrow?
I will make sure he's there for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight.
Yes.
And then that was it, the proclamation and the slideshow, PowerPoint.
Right.
So, do we need to go into non-public?
I can update you on a couple personnel things from last week. if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, quick
let's-
update would be
let's
great.
do that.
Update, sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do we need to do public
Oh,
participation?
public participation, yes.
No.
Does anybody have anything?
No, he said.
No, nothing? Awesome.
All right, then
I'll make a motion to go into non-public for personnel matters.
Yes,
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some people.
Jane?
Yeah.
If you see